Hey, have you ever seen the Mona Lisa?
You mean like the painting?
No, even better. Ninja Turtles.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to talk about how she made a debut and never came back.
I mean, what was she notable though?
No, that's why she was gone because no one liked her. And then they pretend when they got rid of her, like people didn't even remember her at all because they just erased it and everyone erased her out of their memories. She was that bad of a character.
Well, a character that isn't that was a little bit more notable that also got left out of a few of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was Casey Jones.
Yeah, whatever happened to him? They don't even tell you whatever happened to him.
No, he just he appears and then he disappears and is like even in the live action, he shows up in the first one and then I don't think he shows back up.
He's more of a sidekick character and they want to focus more on the turtles.
Yeah, I get that, but there are other sidekick characters that are always showing up.
Like Mona Lisa was a sidekick character, but they wanted to show more romance in the TV show. But we'll talk about this on today's episode.
Well, you also when I talk about characters that came back though, like April O'Neil came back, but why didn't Casey Jones or I guess Mona Lisa?
Well, we'll talk about it in today's episode.
Yeah, in today's episode, we'll be talking about characters that seem to be forgotten or left behind.
Or they just simply disappeared.
I'm CRollur.
And I'm Willy.
Welcome to the podcast.
All right, so what's going on with that Mona Lisa character? They wanted to add a love life to the TV show, so they brought her in. Apparently, what happened was she was a human, but through hazardous material, whatever, she got turned into a fucking salamander. So she's a human salamander.
If I recall, she started around with Raphael and then ended up with Donatello. But what are some other characters that have been forgotten?
Well, you're talking about that, Casey Jones?
Yeah.
Let's talk about him. Why do you think they didn't find any need for him? Because back in the 90s when they did the live action movies, he was involved.
Yeah, I think a lot of people liked him, so I'm not entirely sure why we don't see more of him. I really don't.
You think it has something to do with the hockey mask? Because Jason was out around.
I mean, that might be a reason why now.
And they didn't want to, scare little kids.
I mean, it's possible.
Character. I think that might have been it. Another cartoon that really gets me is Scooby-Doo is really good at ruining side characters.
What do you mean?
Well, look at I'm not talking about live action. Live action don't count, but in the cartoon, right? Scrappy-Doo was one of the characters that,
he's made a few appearances and had a side show, didn't he?
No, he did not. They literally realized that audiences could not stand Scrappy-Doo because he was annoying, and
I thought he had a side show though.
He did have a side show, but it didn't last long because everyone hated it.
Oh, okay. Well, if it didn't go well, then I imagine that would probably be the reason why he didn't show back up.
Then another sidekick of Scooby was Scooby Dumb.
Well, I can tell you from my perspective why
he's
that one didn't reoccur.
He's like a hillbilly Scooby-Doo.
I honestly have no idea who that is. So
he's like a gray Great Dane of Scooby, but he's like hillbilly. He's like, oh, joy.
Well, apparently that one didn't reach me. So, but you know what? Speaking of cartoons, I got one from Family Guy. Meg's friend Beth.
Yes.
She appeared early on in the series, and we haven't seen much of her, if any at all, in the later seasons.
Yeah, I mean, they realized that they lost audiences on that episode, so they were just picture.
Well, as close as she was in the earlier things, though, you would think that you would at least know about her. But this is she's just been forgotten in the series.
Yeah. Well, how many episodes was she in?
I do not know the total. I just know that her last appearance was in 2007.
Oh, so she's everyone's going to forget about her around that, by that time.
I mean, they did reference her in 2012, but that's still how many years ago? And then, of course, you got other characters like Greased Up Deaf Guy and some other ones like Consuela, which Consuela is being phased out. She's getting less and less time.
Yeah.
And her speaking roles have pretty much diminished entirely. And then you got Jake Tucker, that
Family Guy is really good at putting in characters and just getting rid of them.
But yeah, his last appearance was in the Peanut Butter Kid in season 14, about 2016. That's the last time we've seen him. He's a son of one of the other reoccurring characters. So
yeah, you want to talk more about, the Family Guy characters? Like, why do you think they got rid of them? Or
I think a lot of it, either characters that they can't make bits about anymore. Like the Grease Up Deaf guy, I'm sure that bit got old.
the thing is, like, they had that chicken, that Peter always find that chicken. And after like 3 fights, Family Guy started realizing that it was getting boring. And I'm not saying they got rid of the chicken. Like, he shows up here and there, but he's more obsolete than before,
Another recurring character like that is Death.
Yeah.
But I think
they do that just to surprise the audiences, like.
Yeah, but there are some characters I think like that just disappear because they didn't get the ratings that they wanted. But I think for quite a few of them, like as we said, a lot of them are just the bits that they were in just got old.
Did you know that Hank Hill has a half brother?
No, I didn't.
From King of the Hill? Yeah, he has a half brother, and he's his half brother is Japanese. So Hank went over to visit him. He's like, "Oh, Hank, how you doing?" Like all Japanese and everything. But like Hank didn't know that was his stepbrother right away. But he was like, "Oh,
for some reason, this is I don't think I remember the episode that well. But for some reason, what you're saying is bringing back some type of memory." But
yeah, so like that's another forgotten character, and whatever happened to another King of the Hill character, his cousin was the bass player for ZZ Top, Dustin Hill.
Yeah, I don't know.
You never watched King of the Hill?
I've watched it, but I don't watch it that often. I got some Simpsons ones, like two of them that came to mind for me for Simpsons, is Mrs. Krabappel.
Which one?
The teacher.
Oh, okay, yeah.
She actually got phased out for a good reason, though. Her voice actor died.
Oh,
so they literally like off screen cut her character and did her death. There's like one episode where how Bart has to write on a chalkboard over and over.
Yeah,
he actually wrote, "We will really miss you, Miss K."
Oh,
okay. So that's one I think got phased out. I think another one that got phased out was Apu. Apparently, the voice actor refused to do that one.
Really?
I think a lot of it.
It's not that they're trying to get rid of the character. It's just sometimes the voice actors don't want to do it anymore.
The one you brought up to me was Colin.
Yeah. He was in the movie, and everyone liked Colin in the movie, and they just never put him on any episodes after the movie.
They put him on one episode.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, one episode after the movie, and that was it. That was the last time we seen him.
They rebooted the Powerpuff Girls.
I believe I remember that they did, but I don't think I've ever.
All right, so they basically got rid of they didn't get rid. Well, her name was Miss Sarah Bellum. She worked with the mayor.
Okay.
And they brought her back on the reboot, but she was only in a couple episodes. But she worked so much time with the mayor that they're like, "Hey, you got 1,000 weeks of vacation," and
so they literally just wrote her off by giving her vacation.
Yeah,
that's how they did it.
That's how they did it. And the reason why they got rid of her, from what I seen or researched, was because they didn't want like a sexy, even though you can't see her face, but they didn't want the sexy legs, on the cartoon, and they didn't like her sexy voice, So they're like, "Yeah, we're gonna get rid of this character."
It was a change in generation.
Yeah.
You got any more?
Yeah, I got Popeye's nephews.
I really didn't know Popeye's.
Yeah, they were trying to do like the Huey, Dewey, and whatever thing, that.
I watched the older, I think, really old stuff. I don't know if it's old.
Oh, it's old as fuck. It's still in black and white. Yeah.
Okay. I remember like a lot of the stuff where he was basically just having a man contest with the other guy.
Yeah.
One where he built a ship or stuff like that.
The reason why they brought his nephews in the first place was they wanted, his nephews were all addicted to spinach, and they wanted to get little kids to eat their, vegetables. So that's why they brought those nephews in, to show that spinach is good for you.
Honestly, I'm going to go off on a side tangent here though for a second. Like spinach itself, for me, isn't bad. It's just like lettuce.
I can eat spinach.
But canned spinach seems disgusting. It's like slimy.
Yeah, it's fucking gross.
The portrayal of it in Popeye didn't help any either, because it doesn't look any better than a regular canned spinach.
Okay, so the only way I would eat spinach in a can, if I can do whatever Popeye can do, if I can pick up a can of spinach, squeeze it, and all that fucking shit just squirts right out like ketchup, and I can catch it in my mouth, and get big and buff. Yeah, I would eat spinach.
I put spinach on my Subway sandwiches.
I do too.
So I don't dislike it. I just
not in a can.
Just not honest, in a lot of stuff.
Can.
There's a lot of stuff that shouldn't be in cans, like meat.
Yeah, like sardines in a can.
Did that too. But Roxanne. Do you know Roxanne from a Goofy movie?
Yeah.
She wasn't in an extremely Goofy movie.
Yeah. What went on was that they just literally just changed it. They wanted a complete different storyline, and it's cheaper and easier just to pretend that character never existed.
I guess that possibly, because honestly, at the end of the movie, Max and Roxanne get together, right?
Yeah.
But then you would think that they would go to college together, possibly, or maybe there'd be a phone call saying, "Hey, I'm going to a different college" or something like that. Nothing. So she just completely got booted off.
Yeah, they just pretend she never existed. I wanted to say something real quick. Remember Dragon Ball GT?
Vaguely, yeah.
All right, so that did so poorly when Dragon Ball Super came out. They even pretend that Dragon Ball GT never even existed.
There are a lot of characters that got left behind.
Yeah,
in Dragon Ball. I didn't write them down though.
I don't care about the characters. But what's funny is, for the longest time when Android 18 came back, everyone was wondering what happened in 17. Then they brought him back on Super. From the Cell series to reset.
So seemingly forgotten and then brought back.
Yeah. Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
I thought that was kind of cool how they did that, because everyone's Android 17 is probably still dead. But when they wish on Dragon Ball, Dragon Balls that, everyone comes back, that got killed by Cell. Everyone's like, wait a minute, whatever happened in 17? Turns out he was on an island doing a fucking wildlife war and shit.
No, not on a character that got forgotten by the series note, but for some reason people keep forgetting Frieza exists in the show.
Yeah.
So I don't know why that is.
I don't know, but
they defeat him and they're like, who do we know that could help us? We have no idea. Oh yeah, Frieza exists.
Yeah, Frieza exists. I just wanted to throw that in there. Sometimes a forgotten character always, might get thrown back in.
A lot of the things that I was thinking about bringing up in the podcast, that I didn't write down for my notes here because I didn't want to use those characters that were missing for a little bit, and then
you're gonna love what I have right now, because I got a bunch of Star Wars characters that literally no one knows what happened to them. They didn't die, but
you want to talk about it right now?
I mean, I can.
Well, let's go.
All right. So first of all, since you're a Star Wars guy, right?
Yeah.
Whatever happened to that fucking Lando Calrissian or whatever his fucking name is? He was
I know Lando. I don't know what his last name is either. I have no freaking idea.
See, exactly.
He appeared in, was it the earlier movies?
Yeah.
We haven't seen him in any of the other ones that I'm aware of. I'm sure there's lore out there somewhere of what happened to him, but he's not in any of the main franchise. I can tell you that.
No, they didn't even do a small little TV show about him. He was a badass too. He was the one that helped Luke Skywalker get where he had to go to and shit. He was a very important character in the prequels. Now, another one, that Wicket fucking character, that little teddy bear thing. Whatever fucking happened to him? And whatever happened to the B1 battle droids? Another one, Yaddle, that little fucking thing that looks like Yoda but with a wig but skinnier. Whatever fucking happened to that one?
I don't know.
You see what I mean? Star Wars is really good at bringing cool characters and just getting rid of them right away. All right, so another character that was Bren Derlin, he was one of the mechanics at Star Wars, and he was important on doing that, and no one knows what happened to him.
Do you think of any video games?
Video game characters that, just disappear?
Yeah.
The video game character that I want to talk to was from Last of Us. His name was Bill. And you go to a small little town, right? And there's no one even alive there, and the only person alive is Bill, and he set traps throughout the whole entire, town and stuff like that. And you have to go and find him, meet up with him. He's going to set you up, with a car that actually runs, and then you go on your way. But they never explain on Last of Us 2 whatever happened to Bill.
I see.
Yeah, then another game, Kingdom Hearts. Every little world you go to, they don't, it's like you only meet them one time and they're gone.
I mean, presumably you're saving. Presumably they go about their business and do their movie stuff and whatnot.
Yeah, but every character that you go in those worlds, they're not considered like side characters. Like when you go to Halloween Town, you're helping Jack, this, the Pumpkin King or whatever.
Jack Skellington?
It turns,
Jack Skellington?
Yeah, he's the Pumpkin King. But you turn a side character into a main character, right, at that point. But then after you finish the, mission, it's like, oh, pitch him out.
A game for me that has a couple of like more of a franchise than a game, but like the Mario franchise, there are a few characters that have been forgotten, or at least seemingly forgotten. Like Mouser, you probably don't even know who Mouser is.
No, I do not.
Like he was a boss that you had to fight in what was it, Super Mario Brothers 2?
Is that the thing that looks like Bowser, but he just goes across like this?
No, he's a mouse.
A mouse.
There's a world 1-3, 3-3, and 5-3. He also has like a few later appearances after that, but that's the only main appearance of him. Like he's featured in the Super Mario Bros. Super Show, but then like he's in Super Smash Bros. Brawl as a sticker, as a sticker, and then Super Smash Bros. Ultimate as a spirit for Adventure Mode World of Light. Like he is not even a character. He's just an object or a thing to get in the game. Like he hasn't been a character since Super Mario World 2. Super Mario Brothers World 2. Like the old game. Basically the second official Mario game. Speaking of Mario games, you know who Donkey Kong Jr. is?
Yeah. I played that game on the first PlayStation.
Now, that's a really old game.
Yeah. Yeah. It was actually funner than Donkey Kong, I actually tell you the truth, because you can switch back and forth on them.
I think you're thinking of Diddy Kong.
Oh, yeah, Diddy Kong, yeah.
Because, Diddy Kong took his place.
Yeah.
Donkey Kong Jr. was back before Mario actually officially. I think he was still Jumpman. It was in the original Donkey Kong games.
I'm glad you told me it was Diddy Kong, because I thought it was Donkey Kong Jr. at first.
No, like Diddy Kong took over Donkey Kong Jr.'s place. I think the reason why is Donkey Kong Jr. and the original Donkey Kong seemed a bit iffy on their character design and what they were doing. Like I think you're thinking of Donkey Kong Country.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
That's not that has Diddy Kong in it, not Donkey Kong Jr.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, like those are two of the ones I know of. Can you think of any Mario characters that haven't made appearances lately?
Not on Mario, no. But I can do Zelda characters. Like, whatever happened to that girl that had that fucking horse, she gave you that freaking Epona horse, you don't see her ever again. And she's a good singer.
You're saying that she should come back then?
Huh?
Saying she should come back?
She should come back, yeah. They brought the Gorons and all that shit, and they never brought her back. She should have been one of those like fucking people, like the gods or whatever, instead of the fucking Zora, the Gorons, and all that shit. They can be like, oh, she's a queen of singing or something,
I did forget about something while we were talking about cartoons, though.
What?
Like Toy Story. A lot of the toys didn't make it past Toy Story 3.
No,
I mean, like Lenny, the little binocular things.
Oh yeah, he didn't show
up. Pretty much, it's Toy Story 3. He had a brief cameo, but then that was the last we've seen of him, along with Etch a Sketch. Etch a Sketch didn't make it.
They're
past
just
Toy
like
Story
eliminating their loser toys, like that fucking thing that had like the fucking phone on them or something like that. I don't. They never brought him back.
I was thinking like Wheezy, like the penguin thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I remember Wheezy. Yeah.
I mean, it's explained in the thing why some of these toys are missing. Woody says, we've lost friends along the way. Wheezy, Etch, and keeps going. Rex says Bo Peep. Although I think Bo Peep re-emerged. But one of them didn't even make it to Toy Story 3.
Which one was that? The Wheezy?
Mr. Spell, the little typey thing.
And the funny thing is, like, with Toy Story, they added characters when they eliminated characters. And when they added certain characters, a lot of people didn't even like those new characters. Like, a lot of people didn't even like Mrs. Potato Head.
Now, is that the character or the actual Mrs. Potato Head in real life, though?
Is there a Mrs. Potato Head in real life?
There is.
There is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know. I think
there was some controversy around that.
Oh, no shit.
I think it was that because there was a Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head, they didn't make both of them the Mr. Potato Head toy thing. They just went with, I think it was just Potato Head. Or
we're gonna save the best for last, and I would love for you to even like explain this one. Just let me know when's the last one. All
right. Well,
I get last topic.
I got one that I doubt you know much about because it's Doctor Who. I got a few characters.
Okay, so I want to say something about, before you even say anything about Doctor Who. Basically, this reminds me of James Bond. So every movie on James Bond, he meets a girl and she becomes an important character. Then he just bangs her. Then in the next movie, she's gone.
See, I didn't go with the Doctor's companions on this one.
Okay.
At least the ones that were like one series and then dropped.
Oh, okay. So you're not going that far then.
I went with reoccurring characters or companions and people that are notable to the Doctor who have appeared in multiple episodes, multiple series. Like the companions, the companions and people are reoccurring in more than one episode, more than one series. Because I'm not going to talk about some of the companions that he had and then dropped, because we know that he left them back in their own lives, safe and sound.
And what I like about Doctor Who is a different Doctor Who every time.
Yeah, that's another thing entirely. But no, I'm talking about people like Jack Harkness, who was in the spinoff Torchwood, which is pretty much the last time we see him. I think he makes one more appearance later on in like the 13th Doctor era, and that's it. But after Torchwood, he seems to disappear for like an entire decade from the series. Him and his companion picked him up. They did some quests. Then the spin-off series happened. And after that spin-off series happened, they ghosted him. Like he's still in the universe somewhere, but he's not seen. Yeah, but the thing with Doctor Who, they always do a good job on acting, picking the right actors. They always do all that. But I think they're just trying to hide, and try to like tell the audiences like, oh, don't worry about this guy. He never existed. Pretend you never seen, season 4. I don't know, because there's a lot of stuff where characters come back and there's a lot of
drop. They do. Marvel does a good job with that too. Look at Hawk. They had fucking Edward Norton playing the Hawk, and then he's not the next Hawk. It's fucking Mark Ruffalo or some shit. And it's completely different Hawk. Yeah. The question is it a different universe Hawk, or is it a different? Because they have ways of explaining that. Well, they're different universes, different. Right. They're trying to find reasons to, to explain things. Well, it's like there's different Flashes. The one I'm familiar with is Barry Allen. And there's other Flashes. The only one that I can't think of for any reason is Iron Man. I don't know if I'm just not knowing it, but I think the only one I know of is Tony Stark. Yeah, it's always Tony Stark. Like there's no different Iron Man. I think what they're doing is with Marvel, they're just trying to like throw something like out there, be like, all right, this is why there's Tobey Maguire. That's why there's Andrew Garfield. That's why there's Tom Holland. Yeah, I love the way they did Spider-Man. They really wrapped it up with like the Spider-Verse. Yeah, that was really ridiculous. And I think they actually got their idea from that video game, Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions, something like that.
Yeah, well, they also got Miles Morales in a video game where they explained there were 2 Spider-Mans at the same time in the same universe.
That was a good game.
He actually trained him, essentially.
Yeah.
So he wasn't necessarily a different Spider-Man. He was basically Spider-Man's apprentice.
I guess you got to read the comic books because there's so many Spider-Mans out there. You got fucking Scarlet Spider-Man.
Oh, speaking of that, you can get you get a bunch of the different suits from the different comic book versions in the Spider-Mans.
Oh, no shit.
I think it was Miles Morales.
Oh.
Maybe it was the original Spider-Man game. Maybe it was both. I don't remember. But I do want to get back to the Doctor Who ones. Like I talked about Jack Harkness. I didn't talk about River Song, which was my next one. Her first appearance was a 2-part episode, like Silence in the Library and Forest of the Dead. And this is a big lore drop for her character. She gets introduced into the series and then she dies.
She dies. Like the cruise, like the story from...
She gets saved by the fact that her consciousness gets saved as a data ghost, which is a digital impression of her living consciousness, gets uploaded to the library's computer. So she's basically digital after that. However, she gets reintroduced to the series later on as her younger self before she died. And her and the Doctor's paths cross. For me, seemingly like the younger the Doctor is, the older she is. Except for there's the one episode.
Well, you're really big into Doctor Who, aren't you?
Yeah. But there's one episode, like the pretty much the last time you see her in the series. I mean, I think it's actually the second last time you see her in the series. But it's the last time you see her actual incarnation, which is the Husbands of River Song, which is basically a goodbye to her.
Man, I'm glad they actually try to explain everything.
In the first episode, she talks about how her notebook is full, and then you see her die in the second episode, which is the 2-part episode I was talking about.
Yeah.
Then the Husbands of River Song, she tells the Doctor that her notebook's almost full, and it's implied that this is the last day that they have together, or the last night they have together. And she asks the Doctor how long a night on Darelium is, and he's like, a night on Darelium lasts 24 years. So essentially, she has 24 years till the events that happened.
Oh, no shit. What season was that?
I didn't actually write the episode and season numbers, but I know she appears across multiple different versions of the Doctor. She comes back one more time as a consciousness that only Clara Oswald can see, which is another character I want to talk about.
Okay, let's hear it.
That Clara Oswald is a companion, but she appears across multiple different reincarnations of the Doctor. So her first appearance was in the Snowman, but she ends up getting basically an inevitable death. Like she's going to die no matter what happens. Her death is a point fixed in time, or a fixed point in time, which means it's inevitable. It can't be changed. So what does the Doctor do? He pulls her from the time stream between one heartbeat and the next. She's essentially now immortal. She ends up, a whole thing happens with her and the Doctor, and he tries to basically wipe her memory so that her memories of the Doctor can't trace the Gallifreyans back to her to force her to die. But she turns it back on him and he forgets about her.
What the fuck, dude?
And the end of that episode is her basically leaving her own TARDIS with another character called Me, or Ashildr or something like that. She goes by Me. That's her self-chosen name.
Oh, okay.
But they go off and explore space and time, and that's the last time you hear of them. And I did want to talk about Me.
Man, you went like real thorough with Doctor Who, huh?
Yeah. I did want to talk about Me. Yes, I went in order specifically on this one. I want to talk about Me because she's a Viking girl that the Doctor basically, like, she died trying to save her village. The Doctor basically brings her back. But by doing so, he basically makes her immortal. He doesn't realize that that's what he did until she reappears later on in the series, pissed off at him that she can't die, and then causes some issues there. But as I said, she leaves with Clara Oswald, and they go off in their own TARDIS and are never seen again throughout the series. They're just two immortal entities exploring time and space, and we don't know what happens to them.
Sorry, I'm not familiar with like a lot of Doctor Who's because you're like way far in that.
I figured that much. I just wanted to explain these three characters more in detail, and then Jack Harkness I talk about later, Captain Jack.
Oh yeah, okay.
So that's my take on on a few of the Doctor Who characters that have unexplained, like they're out there. We know they exist, but they're not brought back up. They're pretty much forgotten.
I mean, it sounds like a good storyline. I don't know why they, wouldn't even keep her.
I'm surprised they didn't do a spinoff.
Yeah, I know. Dude.
They did one for Jack, but they didn't do one for Clara and me.
Probably because the actors didn't want to return.
Maybe.
That's probably what it was.
So you said you had one that you wanted to hold out for later?
I'm pissed off right now because with the Expendables, Jet Li didn't even come back.
Jet Li doesn't come back?
No, he doesn't even come back. That's fucking bullshit. But no, I just wanted to, throw that off my chest. But all right, so Pepe Le Pew.
Oh yeah, I think I remember us talking about that.
I wanted that to be our finale on this one.
Well, Pepe Le Pew, I think I know why he's not, like, he's a forgotten character.
He has a French accent. It's like, oh, baby.
I mean, this is the thing. I was like, Pepe Le Pew, there's a reason why he's forgotten character. Pretty much, he's the epitome.
He showed up on Space Jam 1.
Yeah, I think that's the last time he was acceptable as a character, because he's essentially...
Are they racist on skunks?
No, not racism, sexism.
Oh, sexism.
He's essentially sexist. Modern society will not accept that on a TV series for kids. I mean, he basically tries to force a relationship with a cat that continuously denies him.
But she fucks up by always running in the paint and looking like a skunk.
But is that her fault?
Yes.
I don't think it is.
Cats are smarter than skunks.
You say that, but the analogy is that it's a woman dressed in a certain way.
Yeah.
And that's why it's a bad thing.
So you agree that they got rid of him, or you disagree with it?
I agree that he shouldn't be brought back. What I disagree with is the people that want to never air it ever again.
Let's say this. They brought him back, and he came back from a mental institute, right? He comes back, it's like, oh, poor cat. Can we shake hands? And I'll take you out for dinner.
I mean, a redemption story, later. Maybe.
They can make him a polite skunk.
That might be the only way to bring him back, is a redemption story. But as far as it goes, like my own take.
Sorry, I tried to rape you, 50 years ago, but I'm better now.
It's a redemption story. So I think for me, a redemption story is always an okay way of bringing somebody back that's problematic. But my problem is people that want to try to cancel history. He existed. Yeah. He is a bad example of a character. Leave it at that. All right.
I mean, like, how many times have you seen people complain about older cartoons where it shows someone smoking, like Popeye smoking a pipe?
Honestly, I've seen less people complaining about that.
I don't know, dude. You'd be surprised how many anti-smokers are out there. They're like, they'll over exaggerate. Like, back in like the early 2000s when smoking was in bars, they'll be like, oh, second smoke.
Most of the character protests are about sexism and racism.
Yeah.
Anyways, I think that's a good spot to stop the podcast.
And we're going to give you guys a peek on next episode.
So for the next episode, we're going to talk about a lot of like the villains and criminals in like comic books and movies and stuff.
How they fucked up.
And how they could have made their plans better. A hint that I have right now, Dr. Evil is going to be in that episode.
And we're going to talk about the Avenger movie, how, what's that guy's name? The bad guy?
Thanos.
We're going to talk about how he could have done a better job. Well, I'm CRollur.
And I'm Willy? I think we got that backwards, but peace.
Peace. I didn't even see that episode. He probably broke up with Lisa and like, "Oh, mate, fuck yeah."
Apparently he was a background character in that episode.